of the world, it is a pleasure to be with you as we continue to tap into our human resources at home and abroad for the advancement of our people, our beautiful island, Dominica, and the Caribbean region by extension. As always, we continue to pray for our country, Dominica, and all the challenges that we continue to face. But in particular, today we pray for Ken Richards. We know that he was laid to rest earlier this week. So we continue to celebrate his life and his legacy and all the contributions that he made for Dominica. Don't forget, Sunday is Father's Day. So remember to celebrate all the fathers, the wonderful fathers in our lives, and those who serve the role as fathers. So again, welcome to Roots Connections. This is episode number 48 for today, June 14th, 2023. And I am your host, Simone Mathieu. This is our number one program for tapping into the human resources around the world as we continue to navigate a world where change is the only constant. And we are here to promote and showcase the people, the organizations, the projects, and the opportunities for advancing the lives of Dominicans at home and abroad. So again, welcome to the program. We have another packed 2 hours of programming for you this evening as we look at the role of our organizations at home and abroad and how we can all be a part of the movement Advance Dominica. So today we are joined by a number of organizations in Dominica and overseas, and they are here to tell us about how they continue to do the important work to advance the lives of Dominicans in their area and by extension Dominica, and the role that we can each play in supporting their efforts. So with us, let us welcome our organizations. Ms. Doreen Shillingford, I'm going to try to help her to log in, but for now we are joined by Ms. Synde Moses Joseph of the East Dominica Children's Federation, so she's in Dominica. Mr. Gammy Moses, who is out there in Connecticut, and he represents Dominica Tri-State Area Connection. We have Ms. Jair Pendenque, who is the PRO for the Be More Mentorship Foundation in Dominica. And we also have Ms. Audrey George from the Dominica Orlando movement. And we're happy to see that Mrs. Doreen Shillingford was able to log in. She was having a little bit of challenges, but we're certainly happy that she's here and she is representing Dominica Association of Tampa Bay in Florida. So let us welcome them to each unmute their mics and greet us by simply introducing themselves. Let us know what part of Dominica you're maybe from, and then we will have a full-fledged discussion on your organization. So for now, just tell us who you are and where in Dominica you're joining us from. So Synde, let me go with you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Synde Moses Joseph. I live on Taylor Point Estate in Woodford Hill on Dominica, and I represent the East Dominica Children's Federation.
Yes, lovely to have you. Jair, got it right.
Yes, my name is Jair Pendenque, and I am from Maho/Warner. Lived in Maho, born in Maho, raised in Warner, Dominica, and I am the PR of the Be More Mentorship Foundation by profession, or I am a media person. You might have heard me. I used to read the news. I do broadcasts, I do ads, and I am a draw hostess at the Dominica National Lottery. And that is where I met the members of the Be More Mentorship Foundation. So you may have heard me saying your first number is 1, your second number is 2, and your final winning number is 3. But tonight you get to hear me in a different capacity as PR of the foundation, and I really look forward to hearing from the other organizations and to seeing how from now on we can move forward, we can help each other with the work that we do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Gammy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gammy Moses. I currently reside in Connecticut. And when people ask me where I'm from in Dominica, that's a tough question. But I'll say my family is from Dalis and Lapley. But I live all I live a lot of I
Are
live
you
a lot of
serious?
places. I live a lot of places in Dominica. Too many to mention.
Ah, well, we have two Moses on the panel. So are you guys related?
And my family is from Delices as well.
Yeah,
Oops.
well, my father is Rasmo. If you know Rasmo, that's my
I
father.
think I think I know him and we are related.
Yeah.
Oh my, so we're making some very important connections on this program this evening, and we're happy to do so.
Yeah. So by profession, I'm a youth development professional. I do student affairs managing, so I do a lot of restorative work with students within a high school. I'm also an environmental educator, and I teach outdoor leadership as well. And
Absolutely.
and I do. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you for joining us. Audrey.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Audrey George. I hail from the beautiful village of Calibishi on the northeast. I think the city in the northeast, really. I'm here representing the Dominica Orlando movement located in Florida. And by profession, I am in brokerage and investment. I'm in the financial industry, so been there for over 25 years now. And that's me right here.
Yes, welcome to the program, Mrs. Doran Shillingford.
A blessed evening, everyone. It's good to see all of you on the panel. Simone, again, thank you for inviting me. My name is Doreen Shillingford. I am president of the Dominica Association of Tampa Bay. I have been for the past 8 years. Where I hail from in Dominica, I come from the lovely West Coast village of Layu, known for its Titiri Fest. and and those of you who know me better might know me as a former member of parliament for the St. Joseph constituency, my former name, Doreen Paul. So it's a delight to be here. And I just want to shout out to my neighbor, Audrey George, whom we work with collaboratively in the Tampa Bay, Orlando area.
Yes, so welcome. Thank you all for being here, for taking some time out of your busy schedules, for joining us. And because part of the reason for this program this evening is to encourage others to join the movement to advance Dominica, one of the things I want you to do, if you have access to Facebook, on your end, I want you to start sharing the name of your organization and the contact information so that others will already begin to start contacting you to volunteer to help with the work that you're doing. So again, if you could just post your contact information in the comment sections of Facebook, then we can begin to share that information with our audience. Of course, we're looking forward to the contribution of the audience as well as we get started this evening. Those who are joining us on the radio, you will be able to call in at about 9 p.m. And we are looking forward to the contribution of those who are joining us on Facebook on Q95 FM radio and YouTube on Q95 FM radio, as well as Push Past 10 on Facebook. Don't forget to share the live. Don't forget to click the notification button to find out whenever we go live. Remember, for the best in daily programming, Q95DA.com is the place you want to be. So again, Q95DA.com, where we have live streaming of our current programs, but you can also get the repeats, the replays of the program. For example, the last time we talked about embracing opportunities to revitalize the cocoa industry in Dominica, and we will have some more to say about this later in the program. As always, we remain grateful to Mr. G and the Q95 family, Sherwin, Lambi, Shan, DJ Shan, and everyone else at Q95 for the opportunity to be here every second and fourth Wednesday of the month to tap into our human resources and to remain in the Caribbean regions for generations. As we continue with our 2023 theme, Invest in Me, Invest in Us, today we continue to focus on an action plan, a strategic plan to build the capacity we need in order to secure the future of our brothers and sisters in Dominica. So again, if you're just joining us, you're joining a little bit late and you're wondering what we are discussing today, we are looking at the role of our organizations in Dominica and overseas and how we can all be a part of the movement to advance Dominica. And so our conversation today is that ever perennial question: how do we advance Dominica? You know, while many of us long for political changes and national policies to advance the lives of Dominicans, we simply do not have the luxury of waiting while so many Dominicans are suffering on a daily basis because they lack financial and other means to support themselves and their families. So while we continue to fight our other battles, we must also focus on supporting the individuals, the organizations at home and abroad who are doing the work to advance Dominica. So whether we are talking about child protection, opportunities to advance culture, those who are providing assistance with scholarships and other financial assistance and mentorship, our individuals and organizations are on the ground, right? So these folks right here are representing organizations who are on the ground, who have the reach and they have the resources. They are the powerhouse for harnessing the human and other resources to advance Dominica. So we're truly grateful that they're joining us today to talk more about what they're doing and what is the role we can play as we look at turning our passion for Dominica into action for Dominica, because I think it has to go beyond just talking about our problems, talking about our issues. What are the actions we can take to advance Dominica? So we have some organizations who have joined us before. Doreen has been with us before. Audrey has been with us before. So I thought we would get started this evening by allowing the organizations who are new to Roots Connections to tell us more about their organizations and what they do. So Jair, let me get started with you with the Be More Mentorship Foundation. So just tell us what you do, what you're involved in, your mission, your activities, and your interests.
All right. Well, the Be More Mentorship Foundation, it was founded in 2021 by our co-founders, Kelshia Charles, Dwayne Bellot, and John Williams. It's a non-profit organization, and it aims to develop Dominica's youth. And how we aim to develop Dominica's youth is by increasing access, increasing opportunities for youth despite of their backgrounds. So we want to build an environment where youth feel like they can grow, they can change, they can become. And we do that through increasing access to education, through our mentorship programs, and through our coaching. We do training and job attachments as well. And we try to ensure that all Dominican youth have a chance to prosper. Now, for the year 2023, we are streamlining our activities. We still do mentorship and we still do coaching, but we are trying to ensure that our resources have a specific target. So our focus organization for the year 2023 is Chances, the Chances Home for Children. And we have been doing a number of activities with that group. We have a birthday bash every month for children of that group. We have a lot of partners ensuring that they are fed, that they are well. We recently signed a very large contract, a very big contract with KFC to ensure that the Chances children are great. And we do hope to once again cast our net, create a wider net beyond Chances, beyond 2023, beyond Chances for more children in Dominica, but that is if our resources allow. So in a nutshell, that is the Be More Mentorship Foundation, and that is our aim.
Yes, thank you for that. And to our audience, while you're listening to these incredible organizations and the work that they're doing, I want you to take a mental note and think to yourself, where might I be able to make a contribution? And think of it this way: keep in mind, the world is virtual. so we can make contributions to the work that these organizations are doing, no matter where we live. So if your passion is helping young people, we have the perfect example represented right here with the B-Born Mentorship Foundation. So kind of just take a mental note to see where your passion aligns with these organizations, so that once again we can turn our passion for Dominica into action for Dominica. Cindy, let me come over to you so you can tell us more about East Dominica Children's Federation.
Okay, good evening again. And the East Dominica Children's Federation operates from Belize's in the east all the way down to Calibishi. But we operated that way when we were sponsored by Child Fund. Currently, we on our own, so we work with children and their families, and we work all across Dominica, despite the name. So the federation is about developing people, especially young people, with a focus on their families. We believe that if we're working with young people, then their families have to know what it is that you're doing to be part of that development. And if we want our future to be bright, I think it starts with our children. So we focus on children and youth. So some of the activities we do livelihoods to include sustainable agriculture, or alternative agriculture to take into consideration climate change, climate mitigation. Um, we also do child protection is big on our agenda. We have a program called child assault prevention that we do. We believe that prevention is the key to stopping all forms of violence against humanity, and so we teach prevention at all costs. Currently, we have activities running. So we are sponsored by the Canada Fund for Local Initiative. They have just given us a grant that we're executing. We started in the Kalinago territory. So our aim is to work with women, men, boys, and girls. And we call our project Stand Up, Shout Out, and Step Up, because what we think that is everyone is aware of the violence against humanity, especially women and girls, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. And people are aware, but a lot of people take a step back. And it's not me, it's not my family, I'm not getting involved. And we believe that with the information, so what it is that we are advocating for now, the awareness that we are raising is you have the information. We are aware that violence is happening all across our communities. What can I do as an individual to prevent it, especially men and boys? How can I protect the women in my life? How can I protect not just the women in your life, but the women and girls in your community? Boys, how do I protect and stand up for girls in at school, or in men in my community? And this is something that is easy, that you can just stand up and say no, and say stop. So that's what we're advocating in the program that we have in that we're doing now, trying to empower young people, empower men, women, and girls on a whole to stand up for themselves, say no, and to allow other people to help them to prevent and stop violence from happening um, with with them. So that's our program, sponsored by the Canada Fund for Local Initiative through the High Commission in Barbados, and sponsored by the Government of Canada. Then we have another project where we'll be working with mainly women and girls, but most vulnerable families. So the federation is about advocating for vulnerable people within our communities. And this project will be doing distributing some goods. We'll be doing beehives, and we'll be doing tree planting. So the tree planting will be fruit trees, and also what we call investment trees, where they can be formed into windbreaks so wind barrier, but also they can be harvested for wood. So that's one of the plan that we have. And then the fruit trees, that families is not something you have much work to do with, but eventually you'll be able to. So for example, if you have a child in preschool and you plant a tree, that fruit tree will be able to help you to send that child to secondary school by the fruits that it bore. So this is the other project that we're doing, and we're involving a lot of girls and women because we want them to be able to do things for themselves, and agriculture is our backbone in Dominica. We need agriculture, so we want to heavily invest, and not just that. For example, the big project that we're having, we're targeting young people in our area. For example, between Calibishi and Marigot, if they are beekeepers, maybe one or two or not more. So we want to introduce young people. It's not much work, but it can have loads of benefits. So we want to introduce them to that. Also, the federation do youth activities. So we do youth leadership, skills training, career development, um, trying to help young people to find out who they are and what they want to do, where they want to go. So these are some of the activities that we do. And like I said, the project that we have, we also do um, gender-based violence and teaching people to understand what it is and how they can contribute to protect people as much as possible. So in a nutshell, in a breath, that is what the federation is about. It's about developing people, developing vulnerable people to ensure that they get a fair piece of the pie in our communities, and that they can help themselves to improve their lives. And we believe that if we start with children, that's why most of our project include children and youth. If we start with children, then we can make a positive change. But we also include their families, because we want the families to know what it is that we're doing, that they can support and they can provide whatever is necessary for those young people in moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Cindy. And these are just two organizations that have shared so far, everyone. And think of the amount of information that we are learning in terms of what these organizations are doing to help and advance Dominicans and Dominica. So, again, keep thinking, where do I play a role with these organizations? Maybe I can't physically join them, but I can join them virtually. Maybe I can make a donation to them. That is why I asked them to share their contact information. Or maybe I can simply share this program on Facebook, YouTube, or send a link of Q95 via WhatsApp so that others can join this conversation. So, Gammy, let me come over to you so you can tell us more about your organization and what you're doing on the ground.
Yes, so thank you, Simone, for hosting. So our organization is called Dominica Tri-State Area Connection, and that's DOTSAC. We were formed in 2007 because at the time, the mayor of Roseau and the mayor of Bridgeport, Connecticut, they met each other. And the mayor at the time was confused. He didn't know where Dominica was, right? So we said to him, they explained to him where Dominica was. So we decided we should do a flag raising in Bridgeport. And that's how our signature event, which is the flag raising ceremony, came about. And ever since 2008, we've been raising the flag in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It flies for a whole month, downtown Bridgeport. And then we also, in the process, we hold a whole ceremony and a cultural gala. So that's our signature event, right? But besides that, part of our mission is to teach people and educate people about Dominica, right? So people in the tri-state area. Part of our mission also is to build community and connect people with each other, build bridges. So that's why when we host these events and the flag raising, we try to get people connected, right? So part of our mission is to build community, connect people with each other, and let people know this is our country, Dominica, and what it's all about, and having our flag flown in downtown in Bridgeport. Now, we've taken up a number of initiatives over the years. In 2015, when Erica happened, we had one of the most successful drive, in terms of supporting and sending supplies back to Dominica. The same thing for Maria. We organized drives and stuff to send supplies back to Dominica. And needless to say, these were one of our most successful years because Dominicans came out to show support because of Erica and Maria, right? So ever since we're trying to encourage people to not just donate during times of crisis, but also donate when during normal times, right? So other initiatives we have taken up, we've donated food baskets to the Grotto Home. We've also done back to school drives and connected with people back in Dominica and sent school supplies to early childhood programs in Dominica. During Maria as well, we also donated medical supplies from the university up here back to Dominica. And these are some ongoing projects that we've been working on in terms of organizing and doing the back to school drives and so forth. So again, another part of our mission also is to give recognition to people who are doing positive work. In other words, give people their flowers. So every year we make sure that we recognize somebody that's making a contribution in Dominica as well as in the diaspora. And we present them with an award and we sort of acknowledge them, making sure that we recognize them for the work that they're doing in promoting Dominica or contributing to Dominican society.
Yep. Oh, I didn't realize you had stopped. Yes. So if you're listening on the radio and you're trying to keep track of the organization, so far we've had Miss Synde Moses Joseph from the East Dominica Children's Federation. So that is in Dominica. If you want to be able to be a part of that organization, we have Jair Pendenque from Beamer Mentorship Foundation. That is also in Dominica. And we just had Gammy Moses present. He's in the tri-state area. So we're talking about New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, if you're interested in being a part of the organization. So Audrey, let me come to you. And then Doreen, we will swing back around to hear from you. So Audrey, tell us, what have you guys been up to since the last time you were on the program?
Oh man, we've been so busy.
Good.
We have a lot going on. But just to give you a brief introduction, DOM, which is Dominica Orlando Movement, it was created in 2015 after the devastation of Tropical Storm Erica. So basically how we started is a group of Dominicans came together. We was all, along with Doreen, we kind of share, start getting items to get to Dominica. And then at that time, we realized that there is a large community of Dominicans in Orlando. So that's really what prompted us to start up an organization. In the beginning, it basically was about helping for hurricanes and the storm. But then we realized that there is a greater need, apart from waiting for when some type of devastation or something happen, which we do have a lot of that back home. We realized there is also a need for other areas of Dominica, including our schools, including our homeless shelters, the sick and ages. So we decided to branch out and start supporting other areas. So that's basically where DOM has started. And to go back to your question, Simone, as I said, we've been very busy. We have a full calendar for this year, 2023. We have already taken on quite a few initiatives, which was very successful, and we are in the middle of the year. DOM goal overall is to enhance opportunities for our Dominicans here and in back home. So our goal is to make sure that, first of all, we want to put Dominica on the map more than where it is right now. We want to take out that stigma where people mistake us for Dominican Republic. We want to remove that stigma where people hear our accent and say, oh, were you from Jamaica? Mm-hmm. No. So we really want to enhance and create that forum for Dominica wherever we go, so we can be everywhere, know everyone. We have been making a roadway in that. So because we have been touching base with several of the other diasporas from the Caribbean, and we are getting there. So that's one of the things that we want. We started as a non-profit organization. Right now, we are just, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on that, but I'm thinking that we are just maybe weeks away from becoming a non-profit 501c3 corporation. And what that is going to do for us, or for Dominica overall, is to have the opportunity to be able to apply for more grants to help more people in the community. And eventually, our goal as DOM is to start getting applications from organizations. So definitely, with some of the panelists, especially those located in Dominica, we definitely would have to keep in touch, because we would like to get to know more what the need is, and that we would definitely want to see what we can do as DOM, because we don't choose what group. We always get. We have last year we did one of our fundraising event was in support of the Portsmouth senior home, and we are still in the process of getting that some things over to them. Um, this year, our end of year event, which is an annual event we hold every year in December, all proceeds is going to be going to the Goodwill football team, so that all proceeds, we are already collecting donations for that. So that's what we are gearing towards this year. So we just in the process, almost ready to launch our website, where individuals can go on and start donating. So those donations will be able to help our boys, our young boys in Goodwill. So that's what we are working towards for this year. We already had a few events for this year, which was very successful. We had our backyard party, backyard fete, really, earlier this year, which was really good. On Saturday, we had our water fete. So it's not water, guys. It's actually, we had all the water Dominica like. We had our goat water, our broth, our sauce. And that was great because Dominicans love their stuff, not forgetting bakes. So we had all the stuff that Dominicans love. We had a great turnout, very successful. So our two main events are coming out to the end of the year. We have our Independence in the Park. That's an annual event. So it's been going strong for the last 8 years. So this is one of our main events. And we have a large followers in Orlando and surrounding and the environment. And our end of year event, which is our main one of our also annual event, which is our donations, where we get donation for a specific organization. So Dom is working behind the scenes. Our officers are hard at work, and we look forward to and definitely working with some of you on the panelists, actually all of you on the panelists,
Yeah.
to make it stronger for Dominica. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Audrey. And that is one of the reasons I always invite a number of organizations together to be on these programs, because not only do we want to hear what you're doing and how we can join the movement in terms of supporting you, but I also think it is important for each organization to see and hear what the other organization is doing, so that we might be able to collaborate across the organizations to see how we can even create bigger powerhouses to help with the work of advancing Dominica. Derek, man, great to see you. I'm coming over to Facebook to take your comments in a little bit. But then, Doreen, let me come to you, and then we are going to open up the discussion to talk about the important roles that these organizations play in advancing Dominica. But more importantly, the challenges. So I think we've already heard that one of the challenges is that people are very active and very passionate when there's a disaster. But when there's no disaster, it seems like there is a difficulty in getting people to remain committed to the mission of these organizations. So, Doreen, let me come to you so you can tell us what your organization has been up to since the last time you were on the program, how we can support you, and then let's open up the discussion. You're muted.
Good evening again for those of you who joined after the introductions. Again, my name is Doreen Shillingford. I'm president of the Dominica Association of Tampa Bay. We have been in existence since 2015, and we are a registered 501c3 in the state of Florida. Our mission is to work collaboratively with organizations, other Caribbean organizations, other Dominican organizations in the United States, and particularly in the Tampa Bay area, to provide support for Dominicans in the areas of education, health, and humanitarian services. So far, we have been very, very successful in the area of education, particularly higher ed. It is a passion, but it's also an action. We've given over $8,000 in annual scholarships to students who are pursuing studies in the United States, and this is really a tremendous passion for me personally because I work in higher ed as an academic advisor and coach. And as you know, a lot of our international students face challenges when they come to study in the United States. They have limited resources, they do not have access to financial aid and other federal scholarships and grants. So they really depend on the benevolence of persons and organizations like ourselves to support them. And not only do we support them financially, we support them with other things that they may need for their personal care, for food. Those who are in the immediate area, and where we are located, we have one of the foremost universities in the state of Florida, the University of South Florida in Tampa. And as we speak, we have students who are pursuing medicine, who are pursuing biochemistry at those universities. So we support our Dominican students heavily in this area. In the area of humanitarian assistance, we support a number of organizations in Dominica. We support the House of Hope. Recently, we have embarked on a drive to provide wheelchairs to the elderly and the incapacitated people in Dominica. As you know, when somebody is not able to move around, they're basically relegated to being inside, indoors all the time. But we want them to go out. We want them to know that even if they can't walk, they can still they can still go places. Those of you who have been to the United States, you see people out in their wheelchairs all the time. So people do not have to be ashamed because they have a disability. They can go out and enjoy themselves. And the people in Dominica who have transportation, if they have a wheelchair, can assist in that. So although we send the wheelchairs, we would love for other people in Dominica to assist. Take an elderly person to the beach. They may not be able to go in the water, but they may be able to get out and just enjoy the breeze, the sea breeze. That will help, with their health and well-being. So yes, we've been doing the wheelchairs. We've sent to a number of communities, and as I mentioned, the House of Hope in Dominica as well. We continue to promote Dominica culturally. As Audrey said, we've been working collaboratively over the past couple of years, and we continue to promote our culture in the area of dance, in the area of art, through our annual events. And we have a huge turnout at those events. This is our major fundraiser for our scholarship drives and our other activities. We also support the Christian Union Primary School in Dominica. That's one of the schools that we have adopted, and we're supporting that school as well as the Love One, Teach One Foundation, which serves adolescents from Trafalgar right through down the Roseau Valley area. And so we provide school supplies to the young people. We provide clothing and food supplies to the young people. And we want to say a shout out to Gloria Walsh for the good work that she's doing in that area. And so in a nutshell, you said something, Simone, about people being excited and ready to support during hurricanes and natural disasters. And then after all that excitement, the support and the participation dies down. And I think all our organizations, particularly those in the diaspora, have that issue that we deal with. And my what I want to throw out to our people is that our organizations are not do not belong to just a few people. The organization does not belong to the board members. So when you ask, what are you all doing? It really should be, what are we doing? What can I do? How can I help? Because the few of us who serve on the board cannot do it all. And so I encourage people from all our organizations who live in the diaspora, you have an expertise, you can write grants, we need you. You know how to do fundraising, we need you. You know how to do event planning, we need you. So you can come on board. And now in this, we're living in a time where you do not even have to leave your home to do that. Look, I'm in Florida, Gammy is in Connecticut area. Look at where we are, and we're able to meet and collaborate and do things for Dominica. I'd be happy to work with Synde and Jair, whatever the Dominican Association can do to collaborate with you, to provide mentorship. Students who are coming to study in the States, how do we prepare them for coming to study in the States? That's, I have first-hand experience with that. So let us not say that it is for those people. Those people are all of us. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to encourage each one of us, everybody who's listening on the platform, to support all the organizations who are represented tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, Doreen. And I think we can all see the important work that our organizations, I like that term, Doreen, our organizations are doing. And I want us to figure out ways to get involved. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to upload this video to pushpast10, pushpast10.com. And I will also include the contact information for each of our panel members, so that if you're not on Facebook, you're not on YouTube, you're listening on Q95, and you're saying, I would love to get involved with one of the organizations I have heard, but I want a recap of what Synde said. I want a recap of what Audrey said. I want a recap of what they all said. So I'm going to place that video on pushpast10.com with the contact information, so we can all figure out how we can get involved. But as we open up the discussion to the panel, and of course, we're looking forward to the contribution on Facebook, YouTube, and the radio and the telephone, the question we have for you guys is, tell us, what do you need? So we talked about the need for more volunteers, but I want us to take it on a more broader term. So if you had access to the ears of the government, for example, what would you say to them to say, this is what I need from you to be more successful? So I want to take it from the level of government all the way down to the individual in terms of what your organization needs to be able to do even more for the community. And as you ponder on that question, let me say and just remind us all that we are all each already playing an important role in the advancement of Dominica. I'm looking at Lambi sitting in the console, on the console of Q95, and I'm thinking about the important role that Q95 plays in terms of reaching a worldwide audience. I'm thinking about our experts who always volunteer their time to come on Roots Connections to make that important contribution of sharing their expertise in various fields, in various areas that help us to advance our lives. I'm thinking about our audience who are always locked into the programs, who are always sharing the conversations that we have on Q95, our frequent callers who continue to vent the frustrations they see, the concerns they see in Dominica, and continue to demand change. right? We continue to see people like Alvin Thomas, who is joining us this evening. Good evening, Alvin. Alvin Thomas and Gabriel Christian, who are constantly on my WhatsApp and in my email box, sending me research information and saying, Simone, how can we apply this to Dominica? How can we do a program on this particular topic so we can advance Dominica? So it is very important for us to think that many of us are already playing an important role in supporting and advancing the lives of Dominicans at home and abroad. But we have to face it, there is so much more that needs to be done. So what else can we do to advance Dominica? So I hope you guys remembered the question I asked the panel. If you had to go from the government to the individual, what would you say are your needs in terms of supporting the work that you're doing so you can do even more? So anyone feel free to jump in and begin the discussion.
I think there is a disconnection with the voluntary opportunities or volunteers out there, or let's say the groups like Dorian, myself, or Jair, all the other groups, especially those in the diaspora. I think there is a disconnection with what we do and what the government does in Dominica, or and not even the government. I think what the people in Dominica does compared to with what we do. What I'm trying to say is we are up here, and everything that we do benefits our people home. And I do believe that if we could get some voice from some of the upper heads, let's say from a minister of youth development, let's say from minister of public work, what, all the different ministries of education, for instance, if we could get those voices more towards what's going on up here, like showcase us what we do as a people away from back home, I do think the participation or the volunteers, it would be better than what we get. And as Doreen stated earlier, we have it seems like the officers at the entire organization. But if we can get that boost, if we can get somebody come out and say, I'm going to come up here to the US for the diaspora, we have groups all over. I mean, I've seen videos, I've seen Facebook. We have in Atlanta, we have in Texas. We have a few of us in Florida, groups in Florida. We have some up now. If we could collaborate together as one people, and people, we could be showcased. This is what our diaspora and brothers and sisters are doing up here to benefit our brothers and sisters home. I do think it will make it easier for us to get more volunteers, but it does have to come. It definitely have to come from the top.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
Well, I cannot say that it is completely well. I cannot say that we can completely depend on government to push us. Yes, they do have a significant role to play in ensuring that our organizations have a boost. They have more connections than we do. They know more people than we do. But I also believe that the government sees more issues than we do, and our role is to target specific issues. So yes, we can go to them for help, for assistance. A lot of times you find that they help individually. For example, we have a huge award ceremony coming up, and Kasani Laville is one of the headline sponsors. There are those kinds of things. What I feel like we need to do is depend on ourselves, push ourselves as and our people pushing each other. We need that because truly the government is just the people. We put them, we take them down, we tell them what we want and what we don't want. So we also have to push our organizations. So I would not say our organization more or less works aside from the government, apart from the government. I would not say we are completely apart from anybody who wants to work with us. We're here to work with you, regardless of your political affiliation or whatever it is. But for sure, we don't want to just say that we just need the government to just push us. The individuals, for sure, the businesses who can help us. One of our main issues, one of our biggest challenges, and I think that applies to everybody, is sponsorship. We need sponsorship. Yes, the government gives subventions to certain organizations, but they cannot give subventions to all of the organizations that we have. We are in dire, dire need of sponsorship. And I mean, as the Be Momentorship Organization Foundation is lucky because we do have a lot of dedicated diaspora who are saying we are here to help our country, we are here to push our country. We have a lot of small businesses are popping up and saying, let us help. We are seeing what you're doing, and we're working with Chances in 2023. And we see that, for example, Richie's Barber Shop is giving our boys haircuts, and the La Bella Salon is giving our girls pedicures. Simple things like that. Rose Delights always here. A food business in Maho. She's always here providing snacks. We have Henry's Construction based in Maho, who helps in any way that he can. And we recently had a very big contract signing with KFC. They are ensuring that when we take our children out, for example, let us say we take the boys to Richie's barbershop for a haircut. KFC is going to provide meals for us. They're also providing us with money every month. They're going to continue supporting us. So we need to call on our businesses as well. I mean, the issue with sponsorship is that you have a lot of competition. There are so many local organizations. It is very hard for us in Dominica. I know it might be different in America for when it comes to the sponsorship pool, but in Dominica is there's a lot of organizations and limited local support because there's a small pool of local sponsors that can help you out. So, and a lot of them are actually sponsoring a number of different organizations all at the same time. So we might come and say, well, we need $5,000 to, for example, build a playground. And they will say, but I just give $5,000 to another organization for a similar project. So that is one of our biggest issues, sponsorship for sure. We need more people to come and say, yes, I can help you. Yes, I can push you. How the government can help us is by pushing our names out there when they have the opportunities, when they meet the foreign dignitaries, pushing our organizations and not pushing a number of organizations on them. But if the organizations can come together, build projects together, then they can push a project which is being hosted or conceptualized by 5 or 6 organizations, because there are so many of us targeting different groups and trying to do different things. So it's not just what I would say to government, it's what we all need to see, and we all need to push ourselves. There's social media, there's newspapers, all of our connections outside, all of those things are very, very important to the work that we do.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much. And Doreen, I think you wanted to say something, and then Gammy and Synde, let me come to you guys to find out what are your challenges? What are the most pressing issues? What areas do you need the support in? And I especially like that Jair said that it's not just the government. So that is why we talked about every level. So the government level, the business level, the individual level, the support from other organizations. And another thing I think it's so important to think is to think beyond Dominica. You know, I have some broken record moments on my programs, and I'm fully aware of it, so nobody needs to tell me. But one of the things I always say is we have to think beyond Dominica. So here we have all these organizations competing for sponsorship locally, but we have to think beyond locally. This is a virtual world. We have to think about organizations beyond Dominica, out there in the diaspora, that we can collaborate with and we can get sponsorship from. And even we have to think of other areas of funding. So I know that one of the areas that Be More Mentorship Foundation is working on is generating T-shirts, so that they can be sold, so that they can have funding for the work that we do. So we kind of have to like open up our minds and think of other possibilities, because this work is so important. But how do we fund these projects? So Doreen, let me come to you. I know you wanted to make a contribution, and then Synde and Gammy, let us find out from you. What do you need from our audience? What do you need from our communities?
Thank you, Simone. I think one thing that is very important for us to recognize, and for my organization being a 501c3, is that frying bakes and fish is not going to cut it in terms of the kind of work that we want to do. Now, it's okay for us to get together socially, but in terms of the amount of money that we need to raise to, say, sponsor Jair's organization, or to meet a need in Dominica, or to provide scholarship assistance, frying bakes and sauce and all of that is not going to cut it. And even the question of T-shirts, yes, I have seen persons produce lots of t-shirts for sale, and people do not buy. People do not want to spend the money on those things. That's a challenge. So we have to elevate our level of fundraising to grant writing. And that's why I talk about people with the expertise who can assist organizations with grant writing, so that when we present to our sponsors. Another area, for example, is that Dominicans shop on Smile, on Amazon all the time. And through Amazon Smile, you can name your 501c3, your organization of choice, and they will put money into our organizations. And that's very effective. Now, how many Dominicans do that? If I think of the number of Dominicans who shop on Amazon, and yet very little comes into our organizations. There are Dominicans in the diaspora whose jobs provide opportunities for you to contribute to your organization of choice, your 501c3 of choice. You can name the Dominica Association of Tampa Bay. And listen, these companies give lots of money. You're talking about $10,000, $20,000 that they give if you name our organization. And if you want to contact us for the information, we'll provide you with our mission statement, our vision, the programs that we are supporting. And a lot of times those monies, and there's no strings attached to those funds. So we can, in fact, support programs both in the United States and Dominica. And that's why I say, I mean, when we want to get together and hang out and do our bakes and our saltfish and so on, that's fine. But we need to elevate the kind of requests that we are making, so that, and listen, people who live in the States, and Gammy can probably confirm that, it is very expensive now to live in the United States. Everything has skyrocketed. So I can understand if people are not able to spend as much money supporting organizations locally, unless it's it's a natural disaster or something. So that's why we have to move outside of the traditional forms of fundraising to tap into those greater area of resources that are available in the United States that companies want to do. So if you work for insurance companies, if you work for accounting firms, if you work for law firms, if you work for supermarket, Publix, Walmart, all of these organizations provide grants to, all of these companies provide grants to organizations.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, Doreen. And a lot of these companies are able to write off these grants on their taxes. So it's a win-win for both organization and for the company who is doing the sponsorship. So some really great ideas coming out of this program, and we see it's approaching 9 o'clock. So we will come to you and take your phone calls and the Facebook comments. But in the meantime, Cindy, tell us your challenges. Where might we be of support to your organization?
Okay, our challenges, like most organization in Dominica, is financial challenges we have. And like Jair said, there are a number of organizations competing in the same platform for assistance. The East Federation operates solely on grants. So while when I heard what Doreen say, writing grants and getting funding through that, but most of the time, when you apply for a grant, they provide you with the support, but it only, most times it's just for the activities that you're doing, and there is no administrative support for those activities. And we are an organization that is located in the rural area of Dominica, and the people who works in the organization basically are volunteers, and we need to we have families as well. We need to support our families, we need to support ourselves. And I think that the work that we're doing is very important to Dominica, because I don't think there's any or much other organization who does what we do in terms of child, especially child protection. Beside the social welfare division, that's their responsibility, but we take it to the next level where we provide information and we we work with families to help children and young people protect themselves. So being able to support and to maintain that is very good. From the government perspective, um, a subvention, if we get a subvention from the government, we will take it. But like Jaya said, we need that push. So if organization comes together, so for example in Dominica we have the NGO coalition, which advocates for young people and children, and we come together as different organizations to push ideas and to advocate for different things. But we need more than that. So for support from Doreen and Audrey and Gammy is very important. We cannot do it all, especially the expertise that you have. So for example, you can do a lot of stuff. Some people can do a lot of stuff on social media. Do we have the capacity? Maybe we may not have that capacity. So if somebody can assist us in pushing our ideas, in pushing our program through social media, it will assist. We got fundraising. This is another thing that is an art, it's a skill that you need to have to do fundraising. So it's very important. That's an important aspect for us to be able to do fundraising, because there are a lot of things to be done with limited capacity, especially as it relates to finances. And if we get that kind of support from the people living in the diaspora, we'll welcome it, and it can push us to do more of what it is that we're doing, because we do a host of activities that benefits our communities. So for example, like we were talking earlier about when there's a disaster, a lot of people flock in and do activities. The federation, we are our focus is prevention, really. So in before there's a disaster, we teach people, we train people in psychosocial support activities, in psychological first aid. We help in disaster mitigation, understanding, and things like that. But we need support from everyone for us to keep those activities alive, for us to keep educating our communities as to what they can do and how they can do it. Also expertise, because we are an organization that work based on grants. We need expertise. So for example, Gami said he works with young people. Maybe we can collaborate to see how we can assist our young people in Dominica to develop. um, Doreen and Audrey may have different expertise that they can lend to the federation to help develop some aspect of it in terms of reaching people, because it's all about developing people. And if we use all the resources around us, and if people contribute their resources, even if it's the human resource, to those organizations, we'll do better. That's why we are non-government organization, because the government has what it is that they're doing, and we do what we're doing. So what it is, we complement basically what the government is doing in the communities. And there are certain things that government cannot do, or people don't expect government to do. So that's where we come in as a non-government organization and provide those support to our communities. We work in collaboration with the government organizations. So for example, to have access to children, we need to work with the Ministry of Education. We need to work with the Social Welfare Division, the Ministry of Health, to assist us to reach those families and to provide quality support. I don't believe in duplicating activities. I believe in sharing, and when you share resources and information, you achieve more. But we need collaboration. We need support from everyone for us to continue to be successful in our communities.
Yes, thank you so much, Cindy. And as you're talking about the important work that you're doing, I'm here thinking about Dominica Child Protection Society, because that is the role that we want to play in terms of bringing everyone who's involved in some way, involved in child protection, child abuse. How can we bring them together? And speaking again about collaboration, we just had a meeting with Tina Alexander, who we know is from Lifeline Ministries in Dominica, and we formed yet another collaboration so that she can educate us on what needs to be done as we begin our summer tours of the various camps in Dominica to empower our children to use their voices. So I think we can already see how we can build momentum from this conversation to engage the various organizations on various levels in terms of advancing the lives of Dominica. So Gammy, let me come over to you, and then Lambi, we're going to come over for the phone calls.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, a common theme across the board, right, is the lack of resources, right? That prevents us from doing what we need to do, right? So I always, when I appeal to people, right, you know, there's this saying, one cocoa full the basket, right? It can be whatever little that you have to contribute, we ask you to contribute. So when we're doing the book drives, donate a book if you can. When we're doing this back to school drive, pick up a exercise book, something, right? That helps. Because at the end of the day, we as the Dominican people, we grow up sharing and caring. When you buy a pack of conkles back then, everybody eating conkles, you know, everybody eating conkles. You know, we grew up sharing. When we cook in a jot, everybody eating from the jot. Even if you don't contribute to the jot, everybody eating. We grew up in that sharing and caring. We cannot afford to lose that value of always sharing, right? Even if it's the little that we have, right? So we're asking people to come on board and help us organize, okay? Because we have to organize. We have to come together because the only way that we can make a change. So contributions people can make, we need support in all areas, in input in you know what I mean, we need people to come on board and help us plan, help us connect with the organizations back home, you know, contribute to the drives when we do them. When we host the events and the flag raising, come on and support. And I also want to appeal to all the small businesses in the tri-state area to come on board with our organization, because guess what, this what we're trying to develop is a symbiotic relationship where everybody benefits, right? Us as the organization will benefit in carrying up our mission in what we're doing in connecting people to Dominica and sending resources back to Dominica. And you as a small business owner, your name is going to get out there. People are going to know who you are, you know. And it's another opportunity for networking, people getting to know each other, you know what I mean, and building on that relationship. So I say we what we need is support on all levels, right? And as little as your support might be just $2, we'll take it. But if you can come and help us build and do this work and organize, we need you as well. And we need young people. We need this to be intergenerational. So we need the young people coming up to come and join the movement and help us organize. We need people, we need elderly, we need everybody. And that's the kind of support we need so we could fulfill our mission.
Yes. Thank you for that, Gammy. And I think a lot of people and a lot of us in the audience will agree with you that one of the concerns is sharing, because we're seeing a lot in terms of Dominicans now simply being for themselves and not being willing to share because their resources are so limited because they have little or no employment, right? They barely have opportunities for themselves. So I think we're seeing a mentality where people are less prone to share and even less prone to volunteer because they're spending so much time trying to take care of themselves and their family. It leaves little else for them to make contributions to the important work that y'all are doing. So that is what we're going to talk about next, the mentality of Dominicans at home and abroad, and how the implications of that mentality is affecting our ability to contribute to this movement. So everyone take a breath, take a sip of water on the panel as we go over to Lammy, and he invites our callers to join the conversation.
Good evening. You are listening or viewing viewing Roots Connection Q. We're taking your calls right now. The numbers are as follow: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. These are all local numbers. And the international number is 305-432-9624. Let me run those numbers one more time. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. All local numbers, and the international number 305-432-9624. And we're standing by for your calls. Back to you, Simone.
Let's go back over to Facebook and see what everyone is saying on Facebook. So we have Ernie Selecta Great to see you, Ernest. Thank you for being here. Marcelin Edwards, good evening, Simone. And to the guests as well, David Joseph, greetings and good night to each and every one. Tina Bell de Ramon, great to see you. Everlasting Peter, thank you for being here. Penny Shirley, good night, everyone. It's a good program. It's the way I haven't so while I haven't listened, but tonight I'm here. Thank you for being here. Penny, we have a phone call coming in, so let's take the call.
Good evening, caller. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead, please.
Good evening to you, Lambi. Good evening, Dr. Simone.
Good evening.
Good evening to your listeners and the guests on your program tonight.
Good evening.
I have been paying attention and listening to the program, and I'd really like to say, start on a positive note. Congratulations and thanks to all the folks on here who put others over themselves and make a sacrifice to help in whatever way a contribution towards the advancement of our people and our country. And I've always said, when we leave our shores, whether we are official or not, we are always ambassadors to our country. And how we display and present ourselves reflect who we are as a people. So I'd like to say kudos to you guys. I myself have been part of organizations up here and in the past, and I did live in Tampa for a couple of years. So during I think our paths crossed, but we didn't get a chance to do something together since I left soon after you came. But in listening to the conversation, what has always been the case is there are two things that are important when you're doing charitable work. It's revenue, resources, and resources and time. And what I would like to suggest is to have a different view on how we go about doing things. So the two things that I would like to talk about. The first one is forming alliances, forming the groups, and some of you guys mentioned it, because a lot of times there are multiple organizations and they're working on the same project, a very similar project. And at some point we should come to the realization that if we form those groups, form those cooperatives, form those alliances, we are better able to do more. And one way of doing that is the connection between the local groups and the groups in the diaspora is the responsibility or the role and responsibility of our Dominican embassy. Because really and truly, we have ambassadors who are stationed in New York, and a lot of people don't realize that one of their responsibility is communication with the Dominican public in the U.S. And the best way to do that is through the civic organization like the Tampa Association, the Orlando Association, the one in Connecticut, and the several organizations all over the U.S. I know there are some in Houston. There are probably others in other parts of Florida. So we have to utilize, and I know people talk about not getting the government involved, but that's one of the reasons we have a Dominican embassy and an ambassador, and how we can form those bonds, those unions, those alliances, utilizing the instruments that are there to connect the people in the U.S. and the groups in Dominica, and working on programs that benefit not ourselves, our self-interest, but the country on a whole. The second thing I'd like to mention is there is a traditional thought process that if you're working for a charitable organization, it has to be a charitable non-profit organization. I think we need to look more at creating businesses, because what I have noticed is you guys talk about people not having time, they have families to feed, they have stuff. What if we look at all the resources we have in the U.S. and find a way to get involved in things like a donut shop, a coffee shop? Coffee is one of the number two most traded commodity in the world. Doing those little businesses, a car wash, having sustainable businesses that are managed by an association in the U.S. and using the profits of those associations to keep people, one, gainfully employed, and two, have a sustainable source of revenue, and three, offering opportunities for the large population of Dominicans living in the U.S. where they can invest Because really and truly, when we go to businesses like Walmart and organizations, that's what they do. And with the large Caribbean population we have in the US, I think we need to look at creating businesses. And what is the advantage of that? The advantage of that is we can source our materials like the coffee, the cocoa, the ingredients for the ice creams, and so on. If you get my drift, in Dominica, that way creating employment, sustainable employment for those folks. You're talking about business, you're talking about packaging, you're talking about financing, you're talking about marketing, doing those kind of things. That way, the folks who are trying to help the young one have a sustainable source of revenue, and you're not worrying about, hey, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to do this? And we're constantly in a situation where we're depending on businesses. And I think in that alliance, in that relationship, in that cohesion with our ministry, we should, with our embassy, we should start looking at how the diaspora population in the U.S. can utilize the consumer market they have in the U.S. to generate businesses and source this stuff from home, because all of us have a link with people who have land, people who have stuff, so that we can create sustainable market, sustainable revenue, thereby doing not just a smaller vision, but a larger vision to develop not just the people themselves, the wealth. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do in having this stuff and giving people an option. So I just want to share that thought. And I know a lot of times we think about getting donations, having a 501c3, which is all great. This is excellent. These ideas have been used. But I think sometimes we have to think outside the box. And with the new realities, like you mentioned, with the advance of technology and internet and all that stuff, there's no excuse for us to be not communicating, not linking, not forming these alliances. So that's my contribution tonight. I just want to wish you guys well, and I say kudos to you guys who dedicate your time and effort to advance your community, your friends, and your family, and your people back home.
Yes, thank you. And yet some more great ideas with regards to how we can collaborate, with regards to how we can generate funding. That is so important. I think that is an area of concern everyone mentioned so far this evening. So let's take some more comments on Facebook. Helene Cadet says, good evening, awesome job. She was talking to Jair, but we seem to have lost the Jair. We seem to have lost her for just a minute. We're trying to reconnect her. So Lambi, if you're seeing her on the screen, she's trying to get back into the room. So if you can let her in, that would be lovely. Edna, Jean-Jacques, good evening all. Juanita Prince, great to see you. Owen Prospect, good evening, Patriotic Family. We have my mom on here, Medina Senhouse, she's listening. Thank you for being here. Dwayne Bellet, lovely to have you. Derek Mann, Alvin Thomas, let's see what Alvin says. He says, great point by Doreen, the use of technology to leverage and collaborate must be encouraged. Carl Coffee James, thank you for being here. Derek Mann, great to see you. Hey, Simone, I must tell you that you're doing a good job. Oh, thank you. I believe a lot of groups do a lot, but I just think we need more help from our island people. Thank you for that, Derek. Let's see who else we have with us. Alvin says, collaboration. That is what is needed. Derek says, sister, I couldn't agree with you more. 100%. What you're saying is so right. We all need to come together as one to create our own positive vibes. Alvin, like the old adage, the right hand must know what the left hand is doing. And he says, Simone, would you be able to produce a dictionary of various organizations on your platform? And Alvin, great minds think alike, or fools seldomly differ, because that is exactly what I'm doing. And as a matter of fact, I want to say a special thank you to Doreen, because she had sent me a list of organizations way back when. But again, it's the amount of work and the hands to do the work. And that is something I will be working on in the near future. But we will begin by posting this particular program on pushpastsend.com with the names and the contact information for those who are joining us this evening, because I think that is an important thing to do, so that those on the panel can collaborate and anybody who's not in the panel can also collaborate. We have Giselle Charles on YouTube, and she says, Doreen, how often have your group allowed other organizations to use your 5 501(c). What are the requirements to use your 501(c)? When was the last time you allowed an organization? So that's a question for you. Doreen will come to that. Maria Francis, good evening. As Alvin says, I will be happy to assist with this initiative. So you see the momentum we are creating from this conversation. I hope that we're all seeing the important role that we can each play as we talk about the role of our organizations. Give me just 1 minute as we talk about the roles of our organization and how we can all be a part of the movement to advance Dominica. So let us take that call, and then Doreen, if you want to answer that question that was posed by Giselle, you can feel free to do so.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good night, Lambi.
Good night.
Yeah, good night to Simone and the guests. I just to pick up the other's name.
Good night.
Yes. I'm listening to your program for a while now. This is the first time calling. Very great idea. Good thought.
Thank you.
I want to follow up with what the gentleman said just a while ago. We in Dominica, we have a lot of natural products in Dominica and also food, the healthy food the people is looking for in the world with less chemical and all those things. Since as we have a very large amount of Dominican all over the states, I mean, we're not living in the backward days when a boat would have to take so long to go to states or wherever. It's a few minutes. Miami, you have a straight flight out of Miami. What is the organization doing to set up like small shops with Dominica products in the different states where you have all the organization, which could bring money to you, just as what the gentleman just said there? I know the cost of because we had a big book plane used to come on Menvin Hall, the Amerijet. I don't know the fee of packaging. Because what you find in some of those states, you have different Asian people like the Indians, the Chinese, and some of the products and the food items come straight from the country. Even Jamaica, you still find when you go to some areas that have a lot of Jamaica, they get a lot of products out of Jamaica. And I remember just a few years ago, we had people like Ian Pringle, Bevin from St. Joe and Faradem. They were living in the Caribbean there, and they had base. And they was doing a lot of movements with Dominica food, shipping. They was doing very well to benefiting to our farmers. And I think sometimes we have to act more and take it more seriously in our doing. We can't be always out there crying. Because some years back, you see the Canadian government sent down some voluntary people, and they trained some people in Granby to make the cold pot soup. And it has become a big industry. So I fully agree with what he said. I think we should take it more seriously as more business-wise people to make money, rely on ourselves more, like get more financial power by our own self. I think it will help us better than, and form more bigger group like Alliance, because they give us training here from the European Union some years back, and to me, it don't make no sense. You have a certificate, you're doing something, but it don't make no sense because we don't have it. People cannot buy the product we're making. Have a good night.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Paula, for your contribution. And, I could not agree with you more. I was going to mention this towards the end of the program, but since we're on this topic with both of our callers, you will be happy to know that that is a project that Q95, Mr. G and the Q95 family, we are working on a program which will address exactly what we are mentioning. So we are going to give the exposure to our entrepreneurs in Dominica, because we have so much talent and so much skill in Dominica, and so many people are making incredible products in Dominica, but they don't have the markets. So we are working on a program, a new radio program, which will premiere very soon. So you want to keep it locked to Q95 for more information about that. And the goal of the program is to expand the markets beyond Dominica. And that is a role that our organizations can play. They can tell us the markets in their area, potentially if they have the capability to do so, create maybe little shops where they can help these entrepreneurs, but they can also get a profit. So again, I like the thoughts of our audience. I like the thoughts of our panel, because we're thinking bigger scale. we're thinking bigger opportunities. And like Doreen said, we're thinking of elevating funding, because that is where we begin. It is important for folks to volunteer, but an even more important aspect of the work that everyone is doing is in the financing. So Doreen, I'm not sure if you wanted to respond to that particular question, and then we will jump back into the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Giselle, for your question. Well, I would want to pose to Giselle, what does she mean by using
Right.
our 501c3? That is something that I would have to try to understand what it means to use another organization's 501c3. Being a 501c3 means that you have applied to the IRS for a tax exempt status. There are legal ramifications. There are tax ramifications when you use a 501c3. You are accountable to the IRS. You have to be registered on Sundays. You have to do your annual reporting. So it is not as simple as people think. And as president of an organization, I have to be very responsible as to now there is no problem with collaborating with other organizations. But in terms of using a 501c3, I would need to know, what are you talking about? To what extent do you want to use our 501c3?
Yes.
I
Thank
think-
you.
I
Go
think
ahead.
we-
I think I'm kind of familiar with it from my studies. I think if I'm not, I might be wrong. I'm not sure, but I think with nonprofit, when you have a 501c3, if you have the same objective or your whole goal, I think sometimes what they do, like in my field, like if I have like a church, for example, that's located in Florida, and then they have two other churches that's in Pennsylvania, for example, but they're not really a 501c3 yet with the IRS. They may be just a basic organization or something. So what they do, they collaborate. So I think it's not really using the 501c3. I think it's more or less on the basis of collaboration, in the sense that if, and that comes back to the same word we all spoke about. If you collaborate and say, okay, I have the 501c3. Why don't we join together? Because I will put it as my organization, because the fundraising or whatever process that you're going to go through will go towards the same purpose. So I think that's how they do it for some of the churches where I work. So I think in that process. So just like I know some of you in church too, I know Doreen, you also belong to one of your churches. The churches have like the basketball group, the prayer group, all the different groups. They have their own funds, their own bank account, but they fall under that 501c3, even though they're not, because they serve the same purpose. In that, I think that's what the person means. I think it's a collaboration, though.
They can apply as an umbrella organization. They can do that.
Yeah, I think it's like a collaboration, basically.
But there's a difference between collaboration and using a 501c3.
I think that's the word that caught my attention too. Yeah, but Gammy, you wanted to say something as well?
She said it's like a fiduciary and it's under the umbrella. That's a common practice for other small organizations to fall under organizations who are established already.
Yeah. So guys, our time is quickly speeding along. We need 3 hours for this program. I keep telling Mr. G. But we are going to talk about next your upcoming events, because we want our audience to be able to support you in every way possible. So start thinking about your upcoming events so we can discuss it in a little while. But we are so grateful for you and the work that you all are doing with your organizations as we continue to promote and advance the important work of Dominicans at home and overseas. And Alvin shared this really great resource with me. Again, he's my research person. He and Gabriel, they keep me very busy with research, and I'm grateful for that. That just for Dominica, we have about 32 organizations in the diaspora, not counting organizations. So 32 registered organizations. So we're just talking to 5 organizations this evening. But can you imagine what we would accomplish if we engage those 32 organizations? Lambi, please take the call.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening. I'm Simone, Dr. Simone.
Good evening.
This is a very, very good program.
Thank you.
This is really a program that I love to see, that we are looking forward to empower people, especially to empower the young people.
Yes.
I've been working with NGOs for a number of years, especially farmers, agro-processors, and a lot of different groups, church groups. And this is something that we talk about collaboration, and that is so important because one hand cannot clap. We need 2 hands to clap. And if we can join together and work together to build our countries and to see how we can establish a next generation that will not just be thinking to receive or somebody has to give them something.
Right.
We can work and bring out their talent, their gifts, and then they can become part of building our food security system and helping to protect the environment. This is really where my passion is. Protect the environment and to ensure that we are working within our environment and we can bring out our talent. There's so much we can do in Dominica. So much we can do. I mean, with our nature island fruit, nature island food. And then I really want to see how I can connect and be a part of what is happening. Try to pass on my knowledge and pass on my expertise to make sure that we can continue to build Dominica on that agricultural footing.
Yes, thank you, caller. And I would love to hear from you. You can reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com. So that is pushpast10@gmail.com. And that is the kind of movement and momentum we want to hear. We want to hear from people who are ready to do the work. Because what did I just mention before? Turning our passion into action to advance Dominicans at home and abroad. And we have to be grateful and we have to commend the organizations that are joining us today and those who are not represented but are doing the work, and the individuals, everyone who is working towards advancing Dominica. Because let us face it, there are so many Dominicans who have given up on Dominica. Right? They have allowed forces that seek to divide us, whether they divide us on political levels, whether they divide us on levels of, you left and I stayed in Dominica to develop Dominica, which, by the way, the only reason I'm able to afford a mortgage in Dominica is because I left Dominica, and that mortgage pays your salary. Right? So that is completely not true. So we have to commend these organizations and the individuals, because we know that despite the fact that Dominica is the reason we are today, Dominica instilled those values in us that allows us to be successful and empowered people. So many people have seen Dominica as a lost cause, turned their backs, forgot about Dominica and said there is no hope for Dominica. But here we are, the people who represent those who still want to see the advancement and are still passionate about Dominica. So congratulations to everyone on the panel and everyone who continues to promote Dominica. Sorry about that, Lambi. Let's take the call.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Yes, could you just repeat the email address, please?
Sure. It is pushpast10@gmail.com. You got it?
He got it.
Pushpast10@gmail.com. And hopefully we want to hear from you and everyone else. Okay, thank you. Yes, so panel, let's get back to you. Your upcoming activities, how we can get involved, how we can support you. Anyone can go first.
Okay, I will go first. But before I talk about our upcoming activities, I think based on I'm listening to the contributions being made, and I'm thinking based on where I am in my organization and the work that we do, it is we are thinking as to how we can generate more funding for organization, but we cannot do both. We cannot run the organization successfully and still do the necessary fundraising that is available. People talk. I think the first caller talked about um, building small businesses, and um, this is a very good idea. And I would suggest to organizations in the diaspora. Sometimes people send a container of shoes, a container of clothes, or the barrels of clothes and food supplies. And while all this is necessary, but sometimes there are vulnerable people who keep getting those things, but they need more. They need to learn a skill.
Mhm.
They need proper place to sleep. They need to help with education. And if the people in the diaspora link with organizations in Dominica and find out what are your needs, what is your budget like, what are your activities like, and we can share that, then you most organizations that are registered um, have a bank account. You have to be accountable. Most organizations have a board of directors they are accountable to, and runs the organization just like those in the diaspora. You have your executive. So I think I'm suggesting that in moving forward in helping to build the capacity of the organizations in Dominica, if you while the gifts are the the contributions that you make is very useful and helpful by sending the donations and other gifts is very helpful. But I think moving forward, if we find out, or if um, the organizations find out what it is that these organizations in Dominica are doing, what are their mandates, what are their what is their yearly budget like, what is it that they need to do, and they make contributions to those activities by asking these organizations to be accountable. Send me a financial report at the end of the year. While it's like basically you're not a grantor, but similar characteristics can exist, and I think our organization will do better because we need that support. And sometimes you need someone to write a grant, or you need someone to develop a monitoring and evaluation system for you for your organization, but you are not able to afford it. But if we get those monetary contributions, it will help a lot. So in moving forward as it relates to our activities, we have started activities in the Kainago territory, and we'll continue to have workshops for men and women throughout June, July, and August. In September, we'll be having youth activities for children between 13 to 18 years old, and is all centered on the gender-based violence. It's empowering young people to step up, step out, and shout out, even community people as well. We also be involved in some agriculture activities from June all the way up to December. We'll be training. We have training. We're working with the Ministry of Agriculture to provide training for families in our communities, and our summer program also is coming up. But I just want to say the federation, I'll continue to say that we work with vulnerable people, and not everyone who lives in a vulnerable state has the resources or the capacity and capabilities to enhance themselves or to do things for their family. So they need that kind of support, and we would appreciate a lot if we can continue to provide that support for these people by getting support from other people. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the other thing I also want to mention, and again, if anyone wants a repeat of this program, it will be on q95da.com, and it will also be on pushpast10.com, pushpast10.com, and I will include the contact information. But the other thing to the panel I want you to do is I have a huge following on social media. I get up to maybe 20,000 visitors a month on Push Past 10 on Facebook. So please send me your flyers, any events you have coming up. Let me know. I will be more than happy to share it on the website as well as on social media, because that is how we generate the support you need. So let's continue to go around the room for your upcoming events and your final thoughts. Gammy, let me come over to you.
Thank you, Simone. So two things we have coming up. The main thing we have coming up is our signature event, which is the flag raising, and that's going to be on September 24th. And we're reaching out to people who want to be vendors, to all small businesses as well, because we want to do an expo as well, right? So we're a small business expo. So we're asking all the small businesses to reach out to us and connect with us and to be a part of the flag raising 2023. It's in September, Bridgeport, Connecticut, September 24th. Again, we're looking for people to also come on board and help organize and plan. So please reach out to us and to serve in the capacity that you can. And we tell people save the date. We want people to come from all over like they used to. People come from New Jersey, from Boston, from New York to come and support this twofold event. We're gonna have a cultural gala. It's gonna have music, gonna have food, and we really want to connect people and have the small businesses. People get to know each other and to get to know the small businesses, and also we will be doing the back to school drive and the book drive as well. So please reach out to us to support that. Thank you.
Yes. And I like how Tad Black Pepper James says it, good vibes, powerful program. Tad, thank you so much for your continuing support. And we have to continue to build that network that we talked about, right, Tad? Alvin volunteered to join us. We had a one lady who set up a website, but unfortunately, again, she doesn't have the time commitment. So we have to move on and figure out another route. Lambi, let's take the call and then we will take more comments from our panel.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Simone.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, man, proud. Very deep discussion. Gammy, why you sitting there, boy? Good discuss, my brother. My homeboy.
Yes. Good to hear your voice, Tad.
West side.
Yes.
Yeah, man, west side. Yeah, man, but Simone, boy, that thing there is a very, very needed thing, man. Trust me, because we have to try to see how we can strategically get that place to move and to really be the plight of the people one way or another. And we have a significant role based on the resourcefulness we have in the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
And that networking thing there is key. But we need to also put in perspective to make the environment, to groom the environment to be more conducive for networking, meaning a very critical factor you all forgot. It is very, very important while we're trying to conceptualize and promote that we get the energy of the young people before they get to that high level stage of engagement where we at now. We need the younger people to tap in, not by default, but by through their development ethics, and they can relate in their development to programs like that and the importance of programs like that. So I'm saying that, meaning that I think there should be side by side with what we do as adults in this organization. We have to pay attention to the generational. How do we tap in the oncoming generation into what we're trying to develop? Because at the end of the day, we are adults, we're getting on our way out. The most critical thing is sustenance, because the effect of that whole program is not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. So we also have to, like I said, side by side, see strategically how do we engage the younger people in that. If it means we have to tap into the school system to get the awareness of the importance of this kind of ethics there and this kind of movements in order, if we have to, I think we have to make a significant attempt side by side to get that going. All right, so that's just my thought, but very powerful, needed program, very good discuss panel, and yeah, we're ready to network, but like I say, we have to tap in the generation, them youths from tertiary, primary school, going to secondary. We have to focus on that simultaneously to what we're doing right now.
Yes, thank you, Tad, and thank you so much for your continuing support of, the programs that we do and the
Yeah,
continuing
my
support
pleasure.
of everything that is going on to advance Dominica. Thank you again. Who were we on in terms of final thoughts and events? We did Gammy, we did Cindy. Doreen, let me come to you.
Okay, so as of tomorrow, and I'm going to share this flyer with you on the program. Tomorrow we are doing a workshop, um, a virtual event preparing for the inevitable. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It will be on our Facebook page. And you can join via Zoom as well. Let me give you the Zoom link. The ID is 818-4766-3540, and the passcode is dignity. Preparing for the inevitable. We are collaborating, again, the word collaboration, with the Garden of Grace Ministries and with Apostle Norma Fontaine Filbert and Dignity Memorial to bring this program. Most people, we know that one day we will all die, but a lot of people have not made plans for the inevitable. And it doesn't matter what our ages are, something can happen suddenly, and we are not prepared. Our families are not prepared. GoFundMe is good, but GoFundMe does not always meet the need of funeral expenses. And so we are having this program to educate people about. Now, we're not selling anything to anybody, so don't come saying that, oh, you all want to sell us anything. No, we want to educate you as to what you can do to provide for your family in case something happens, particularly suddenly. Everybody does not have the benefit of having insurance through their jobs. Some people are self-employed, and sometimes even through your jobs, insurances can, if your company is not paying for the insurance, sometimes it can be expensive. So I trust that you will join wherever you are. Whether you are in Dominica, the information is important as well, because I know that there are funeral plans in Dominica also. So no matter where you are, we invite you to join the program tomorrow, preparing for the inevitable. And we call it the Celebration of Life seminar. And then we want to continue our education programs, and so we will be putting out our flyers of future programs that we will be having. And then at the end of the year, we will be celebrating Dominica's independence. We are in the planning stages as to what format it will take. We are still working on it, but we want to do something different this year. We want to pivot to something a little different that will be of more global, involve more people on a global scale. So look out for what we have in store for you.
Yes, excellent. So, Doreen, because this event is tomorrow, I will go ahead and post it on pushpast10.com so everyone can get the Zoom information, the Facebook information, so they can join this very important conversation. And this is the type of momentum we want to see. We want to see the flyers, we want to see the events, because that is an important way that we can support you. Jair, let's come over to you. And then Audrey, hope you don't mind that I save you for last. Go ahead, Jair.
All right. Well, the Bibo Mentorship Foundation, again, as we work with chances for the year 2023, we have a lot of very exciting events coming up for our children to get them involved, to get them to be more. Every single month, we have under a project we call the Be Happy Project, we have a birthday bash for the children of chances. So every child knows that we want you here, we love you here. Under the Be Happy Project, we're working with an online jewelry store retailer. It's actually run by a member of the Dominican diaspora. It's called SKF Shop. And under that project, children get birthday cakes, they get presents, you get to enjoy your birthday. So if we have 3 birthdays in May, everybody gets a singular birthday cake with your name on it that says happy birthday, dot, dot, dot. But we tried our last birthday bash was last month, I believe. And we were at Mero, and there was a whole obstacle course that we were doing on the beach, and it was very exciting. So every month we're going to continue that. And of course, we always need volunteers. So if anybody wants to volunteer, you can message us on Facebook at the BMO Mentorship Foundation or on Instagram. Look for our website, that's bmomentorship.org. Of course, you can always volunteer to be a part of our monthly birthday bash activities. And another project we have coming up is a mural painting. We're hoping to do that either this month or sometime before the 10th of July. There is Chances has a lot of wall space. So we want to do a mural with the children. We're getting an artist to come to help them paint. We're getting different people to help us paint. We actually got assistance from the parliamentary representative for St. Joseph. He's assisting us as well with that project. And we have a lot of people just coming together to paint on the wall, to give them a nice mural, to remind them that life is good and life is happy and we can be happy every day. And it's just something that we want to work on together with the children, giving them something that comes from them. I think our largest event before August, in July, on the 19th of July, we have a very huge award ceremony coming up. The children of Chances have been doing so well at school. They have been behaving at home, and we just want them to know we appreciate that. So we have a huge award ceremony coming up. We are going to invite the media. We have various speakers, various sponsors, and it will have most disciplined, it will have the ones that did the best at school, it will have the most improved, it will have those that help others to laugh. So that's a huge award ceremony coming up. We have plaques. 25 children will be awarded. I almost said afforded. 25 children will be awarded. The plaques are being created. Everything is being done locally by an upcoming laser technology company based in Casibou. So we're getting that done in Dominica. 25 plaques for the children. And so far, I am happy to announce every single one of those plaques has been sponsored, every last one. We had a lot of diaspora, members of the diaspora coming forward saying, I want to sponsor 5 awards, I want to sponsor 6 awards. We had Digicel I think sponsored about 12 awards, and a number of other persons. We had the normal BMO Mentorship Awards, a number of persons, everybody came together to sponsor the awards. And it's going to be a very, very, very big ceremony, and we're hoping to have it at the Maho Primary School. I think we're still settling the venue, but we will send out those invitations as soon as we can. And we're really thankful to our sponsors and our partners so far for just being with us. So everyone, all of them will be invited, and hopefully they can join us live or they can join us in the room in person to just congratulate our children and remember the children that we are doing all of this for. Of course, there are other initiatives, other things during the year. We have chess mentoring that starts in August. Our chess farm, Dominica, actually left the island to participate in a chess competition, and we got very far. So we are starting chess mentoring with our children. There'll be bead jewelry and crafts. Those will come in August. And of course, for the rest of the year, we have a lot of activities. But our main activities, our monthly birthday bash, we have a painting project that's coming up, and we also have our very big award ceremony in July. So those are the 3 activities. If anyone, again, wants to be a part of these things, you want to volunteer, you want to say, okay, let's do something for the children of Chances, you can always contact us at the BMO Mentorship Foundation. Search for us on Instagram, on Facebook, on our website. You cannot miss it. I don't think any other organization has that name. So you must find us. You will find us.
Yes, and let me just add before we go to Audrey, I have Synde, Gammy, Doreen, and Audrey all on WhatsApp. So if the contact information I have for you is not the contact information you would like to share with the public, please WhatsApp me the contact information. If you don't want to use your private email, for example, you want to use the organization's email address, can you WhatsApp that information to me? And Jair, if you could send me, because not everybody's on Instagram and Facebook, if you want to send me the email address, you can email it to me because I have you on email instead. I don't have your phone number. But if you want to email me the exact email address and the phone number, don't say it to me now, I won't remember, for the BMO Mentorship Foundation, please email it to me because I want to make sure
Yes, I
that
will
people know directly how to get in touch with these organizations and to support the incredible work that they're doing. Audrey, let me come to you, and then we have some more comments to take from Facebook before we wind down the program. And before I forget, let me just thank the panel so much for being here to share with us this evening. Audrey?
Well, before I even go into what we have coming up, I just wanted to also say that, first of all, Dominica Orlando Movement is a community, Dominica community group movement. We actually started in one of our members' house in her. That's where we began. Everything started right in the living room, and one of the uniqueness of the movement is we want to maintain that Dominica style of things. We want to maintain like a community, like we're a village in the diaspora. And that's the reason why we have our those types of fundraising is because it brings back what we have back home. So we like having it because we are a community. We want to build our community. That's what worked for us in where we are located. And I just want to bring that out there because our groups have the group has been expanding so much. We have been getting so many donations from people that's not nowhere from Dominica.
Good.
One of our officers is not from Dominica, and he's one of the most vibrant officers in the group. He does most of the work, and he's not from Dominica, and that's what we thrive to because we have put ourselves out there as a community. We maintain our events. We'll always have dominoes because that's a Dominica thing. That's what keeps us as a community. It's always going to have bakes and fried fish because that's what keeps us as a community. And kalalo, that's what keeps us as a community. Whether, regardless from the time, even when we become 501c3, our uniqueness is keeping Dominica roots, our community in diaspora. We started as that, and that's what makes us unique. And then to our events that we have coming up. So we do have our two of our major events at the end of the year, which is Independence in the Park is one of the biggest events, and it has grown tremendously in the past few years. It has grown to the fact that right now we really have to organize in a way that we can accommodate organization from other islands that has we have reached out to us and definitely want to be able to participate in the event coming up for this year. That event will be held in October 14th, sorry. So Independence in the Park, what we showcase is our Dominica culture. We showcase our WAP duet, we showcase our dance, we showcase our food, all our local foods. That's something that's been held and it has been growing. So that's one of our main events coming up October 14th. And then our end of year event is also an annual event. And that event is being held on December 9th. And it is our classy event. So we always choose an organization in Dominica or nonprofit company somewhere that all funds raised will be going to that specific organization. So this year, all donations for this particular event is going to go towards the Goodwill football team. And we're going to try our best to ensure that they have the gears, the uniforms that's needed for them to progress in what they do. We are going to have our website out there. We encourage everyone, regardless of where you're located, please reach out, donate. It could be $2, it could be $1. Please donate. If you're not able to come to the event, even though you are far away, somewhere in the US or Dominica, you could also donate your ticket. So even though you're not able to purchase a ticket for the event or the end of the year, you could buy a ticket by donating that ticket money towards the Goodwill youth. Okay, so that's what we have coming up. I encourage everyone, our website will be on, we are on social media. So you just have to search on Facebook, Instagram, Dominica Orlando Movement. So and our website will be up soon. So then you can actually go and then donate whichever group. We also have, you could leave comments. And I do want to, before I end, Simone, I know you gave me last, I'm sorry, I know we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I do want to encourage everyone in Orlando, please, please, please volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. And we do have fun. We are family. Let's don't lose that sweet taste in our mouth. We are family. Let's do something for our brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Here this evening talking about the role of our organizations at home and abroad and how we can all be a part of the movement to advance Dominica. We were joined by Mrs. Doreen Shillingford of Dominica Association of Tampa Bay, Miss Cindy Moses Joseph of East Dominica Children's Federation, Mr. Gammy Moses of Dominica Tri-State Area Connection, Miss Jair Pendenque, Be More Mentorship Foundation in Dominica, and Miss Audrey George, Dominica Orlando Movement. And again, if you missed any portion of the program and you want to go back and remember all the important work that our various organizations are doing, you can check it out on q95da.com and on pushpast10.com, pushpast10.com. I will have the video as well as the contact information for everyone who joined us on the panel. And I think just based on the contributions that we saw this evening and everything else we have featured so far, we have reasons to be optimistic. We have reasons to be optimistic about how we are all working together to advance Dominica, to advance our people at home and in the diaspora. When we look at the Caribbean Agriculture Network program that we featured during our last program, we see how Dominicans at home so we are is that to advance Dominica in so many important ways. So let us just grab a couple of comments before we wind down. So we have Derek Mann. Looking forward to connect with you, Derek. I will certainly contact you on the number that you provided. Marshall Lawrence says, good evening, Dr. Simone. Looking beyond Dominica, we are a member of the Commonwealth of Nations, not just in name. Reach out and get funding. EU Commission, for example, engages associations and groups, but not personal projects. So again, we continue to share important information and important resources. Derek says as well, Dr. Simone, again, great show. I love it. I must say sending stuff to Dominica is good, but sometimes what happens is your contribution, but most times you send a contribution, materials of clothing and things like that. People complain that the groups are sending used stuff to them. Carl Kofi, thank you for being here. Great program, he says. Sabrina Roy, great program. Rachi Wesley, I appreciate the cultural events in Dominica organizations facilitate for community. These events bring engagement. And Alvin wraps it up by saying, great program, great conversation. Thanks, Simone, to you and your guests. So again, we all have a role to play. So I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone who sees the value in the work that these organizations are doing and are willing to lend a helping hand to support in one way or another. So again, thank you to the panel for being here. Thank you, Lamy, for taking the call. Q95, thank you to our audience on the radio, on Facebook and YouTube. We look forward to joining you again as we continue to promote the organizations, the projects, the people who are working towards advancing Dominica and recognize that the only constant in this world is change. So how do we embrace change and how do we advance Dominica? So everyone, you can feel free to unmute your mics and say good evening and thank the audience for being very attentive to our discussion and for supporting our initiative. So Lambi, thank you. panel, audience, everyone, thank you, and have yourself a restful evening.
Good evening,
night.
everyone.
Thank you and good
Thank
evening,
you.
Thank you.
everyone.
All right, and don't forget to send me the contact information you want listed on the Facebook page and on the website so we can continue to push your work.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Good
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Jah Rastafari. Home, oh, oh, children, home. Wanna go home, oh, yes, children, home. Got to go, yeah. We've been trodden from Genesis right on through Revelation. We've been a subject to master's feet. So blessed, so we wanna go. Yeah, we are a people enslaved and sold, scattered through the earth. Jacob is calling his children 12 tribes, so we want to go. Oh, children, home. Oh, to Zion. Oh, wanna go. Oh, take me there. Home. Oh, to Zion. Oh, wanna go. Yeah. We've been trodden from Genesis right on through Revelation. We've been a subject to master's feet. So quick, so we wanna go. Oh, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, and Zebulun, Isaac, God and Asher, Naphtali, Joseph, and Benjamin. 12 tribes, so we want go. Oh, children, home. Oh, to Zion, oh, I wanna go. Oh, children, home.